Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. And today's video is going to be really short. We're just going to be talking about my med school journey and how I became a doctor in May of 2023. You would assume that doctors have amazing grades throughout their profession, and that's how they got into med school in the first place. My story is a little bit different. The day I decided to become a doctor was the day I received the worst grades of my life. I had no idea of what I wanted to be. I didn't want to go into computer science. I didn't know if I wanted to do business. It was just a confusing state for a child, you would say. In my O levels, I developed this kind of passion for biology. I knew I was really good at it. It came really natural to me. However, I didn't really know if I wanted to be a doctor at that time. O levels is kind of your preliminary primary school kind of qualifications. In our school, they would make us take 2 subjects before we would take the science related subjects and languages. And those 2 subjects were Islamiyat and Pakistan studies, because I was a student in Pakistan and I had moved from Ireland at the age of 12 and enrolled into Beacon House school system. As a foreigner, had no idea what the system was like. In foreign countries, they kind of take the education very slowly and build the student up gradually and not overwhelm them. Pakistan is a little different in that aspect, that they push everything in front of you and they expect you to learn it, and if you don't learn it, you won't get the grades. Coming back to the story, I took Islamiyat and BS. I even got A's and A pluses in the final test that you take before you give the examination. But to my surprise, the result came out. I got 2 B's. I was expecting at least 1 A, and that's where my story starts. That is kind of when I realized that there's something wrong that's going on. I can study all I want, but I'm not getting the grades that I need. And I faced a lot of humiliation because basically we're Asians, and if you don't get A's, you're considered a failure. And I watched how people's perspective of me changed when I got 2 B's. As a child, this really affected me. And I realized that I have to up my game if I want to get into a medical college. At that time, I decided I have to be a doctor and I have to prove all of those people who doubted me wrong. In the coming year, I noticed some shortcomings in terms of that I was learning the whole subject, but I wasn't particularly paying special attention to past papers or questions that were repeated frequently. And I focused or shifted my strategy towards those topics. And in my final year of O levels, I managed to get a couple of A's, but they still weren't A pluses, weren't going to get me admission into a medical college, because the closing merit or the merit for medical colleges in Pakistan was 90 around at that time. I think it's increased even now. I think it's like 93, 94 closing, which is insane. But I knew I wanted to be a doctor. And I knew I wanted to be a doctor from a government medical institution. I made the drastic change of not pursuing A levels and doing F.Sc instead. F.Sc is a very different system. It's not like A levels at all. It involves a lot of rote memorization. Till now, I'd only focused on conceptual learning, and rote memorization was something that was completely foreign to me. I shifted my curriculum from one that involved conceptual learning to one that heavily relied on rote memorization. In my F.Sc, I knew I had to score well. And I told my family that I want to be a doctor. You guys have to facilitate me in every way possible. My loving family, they supported me in every way they could. I joined academies, which you have to take in F.Sc for repeated tests and kind of hammering those questions down into your brain. And then I had private tutors at home. You could imagine that I was spending a lot on just F.Sc, more than people would say is necessary. But I knew I had to get those marks in F.Sc if I wanted to overcome my shortcomings in O levels. Lo and behold, I got a 93% on my final F.Sc accumulative score, and I knew I was heading in the right direction. And the only kind of journey that was left for me to get into medical school was taking the MCAT. I say this with the utmost honesty and genuine advice that I could give. MCAT is hell. Getting admission into Pakistan's government medical college is 10% of your O level / matriculation grades, 40% of your F.Sc grades, and 50% of your MCAT score. So it was 18 years of my life, my O levels and my F.Sc, and 3 months of MCAT preparation. And they were the equal in terms of percentages. There is around 30,000 seats for 100,000 students. So that's a lot of competition. Was I afraid? Definitely. I thought, how could I compare to those students who've done amazing? And that kind of insecurity of not getting good grades in the starting years of my life, it sat with me even till now. I'm still a very insecure individual when it comes to grades, because I didn't get them in the first place, and I'm always trying to get them now. And I could never turn that switch off in which I had to keep on studying. And so I studied in MCAT, same strategy, academies, but this time I added one more academy. I did an academy in the morning at 5 o'clock from 5 till 12. And then I had another academy, which recently opened. I did that from 12 to 5. And then when I came home, I had private tutors for chemistry and physics. And I would do 1 hour or 2 hours of my own self studying in between, but that was kind of my schedule in MCAT. I needed to get good marks in MCAT. And when I sat the MCAT, it was horrible. I didn't get the grades I needed. I got like, I think, a 60 or 70%. But I found out that the paper was insanely difficult that year, and 60 to 70% was considered a very good score, and I could get admission into a medical college. Unfortunately, because it's Pakistan, the paper got leaked beforehand, and the University of Health Sciences had to retake the MCAT in the upcoming month. And so I sat not one, but two MCATs in a span of 3 months. I got a 94 percentage on the new one because they made the paper more balanced, more humane. After that, my cumulative total was looking very good. I had a 91.3 or 2, and I believed I had enough to get into a medical college. Then the University of Health Sciences, they call you and then they ask you to choose in order of preference the medical colleges of Pakistan. Unfortunately, I missed out on King Edward by 0.2%. Beggars can't be choosers. O-level student who barely scraped through O-levels is now getting admission into one of Pakistan's top medical colleges. I was grateful. I was more than grateful. I couldn't ask God for more. I got admission into Allama Iqbal Medical College in December of 2017. Allama Iqbal Medical College is the second highest ranked medical college in Pakistan. That's how I ended up getting my primary medical qualification and how I became Dr. Abdullah. We'll do a whole other video of my journey within med school. But I hope you like this story. I'd love to read about your stories as well. So tell me how you got into medical college or how you're studying for medical college, and I'll try to help you out in any way I can. And I'd love to read your stories as well. Okay, guys. Bye bye.